How we doing, Ram fans? Welcome to Crackers College Hoops. Final score, opening night for CSU in the Mountain West Conference. They walk away from Reno. A kind of a horror show in the past for them. They haven't won. They've won one of about the last 8 or 10 games there. But they walk away with a great 66-64 win. Easily the best game they've played all year. Easily the most consistent 40 minutes they played. They ran into a little bit of a brick wall in the second half in terms of scoring, but they kept on defending really, really well. I have an early comment here. Let's see who's out here. Mike wrote, Nevada is poverty. I know, Mike, I think Mike's been to Reno for football games. And I know other people that'll tell you it's an erector set stadium and kind of a different place. Mile High Minute is on. What a great win. It was a great win. That's the way this team is going to have to work, and that's the way this team is going to have to win games. It's going to be a possession at a time. It's going to be grinded out basketball. They were very, very good defensively and produced just enough offense, and especially at the moment of truth when they really needed it. I'll get into it a little more. I'm going to be joined in a few minutes by my good friend Tom Moser, great podcaster who runs the Top of the Mountain West podcast and is probably as good as there is in terms of breaking down games. I wanted him to come in. I asked him earlier if he wanted to stop by. He's got a few minutes. He's busy like the rest of us for Christmas, but he's going to pop in shortly, and we'll listen to kind of a neutral breakdown rather than us homers. And I'm afraid I'm going to be a homer tonight. Aaron, you're out there, escaped with a good win. That was more than a good win. That was a great win. When you open conference play with a win on the road, that puts you in a very, very good place. Nevada's that's a quad 1 win, folks. We got to be really happy here. Aaron Samesies. By the way, if you were watching on Thursday night, Aaron answered a trivia question, and Aaron is going to win himself a Crackers College Hoops Monday morning cup of coffee mug. I have to figure out a way to get it to you in time for we'll get it to you as soon as we can. It would be great if I could get it to you before Christmas. Let me know if you want to figure out a way to get together, Aaron. You know how to reach me on you can direct message me on Twitter. Anyway, CSU played a very solid first half, opened up the lead. I haven't looked at the final. I want to look at the final number here. They led for most of the game. Here we go. The lead time, 29 minutes and 53 seconds. Nevada only led for 6.5 minutes. And of course, when they had that little soft spot in the second half, I looked at the numbers that we fell behind by 1. And at that point, we had led for over 27 minutes of the game. And I was getting kind of deja vu of the team 2 years ago, the 2022-2023 team that had a hell of a time. Even with Isaiah Stevens, they had a hell of a time closing games. And the number of games we led with 8 minutes to go that year, and the number of games we led by for like 25 minutes, and then we'd blow it in the last 8 minutes. I was having deja vu tonight. So I'm really, really happy that we hung on and closed down the stretch. It was a little touch and go. It looked like Mbemba was going to put the game away with a dunk, and missed it. And then for some inexplicable reason, in the open court, Kobe Sanders of Nevada threw the ball away unnecessarily. Probably would have had a room to get to the basket in transition. We were all spread out there, but he tried to throw one up the court, get an easy basket to Nick Davidson, overthrew it, and we hung on. Needed to use our timeouts to go all in bounds. I was a little surprised Nevada didn't foul Ethan Morton, but all in all, it was a great performance by the Rams. That's all I can say. Just an unbelievable performance. If you look at the banner I have going, Nick Clifford struggled in the second half, shot 5 for 6 in the first half, And I don't think he made a field goal in the second half. I ended up 5 for 13, but made a bunch of free throws down the stretch, finished with 12 rebounds. Kyan Evans at the point played the best game he's ever played in a CSU uniform. And this is the Kyan Evans we've been hoping for. We started seeing little signs of it. He had a good second half against CU. He played very well against Loyola Marymount. Yeah, it was Loyola Marymount when he hit all the threes. Had a bit of a struggle in the game against VCU in Vegas. He goose egged, and it we saw some of the inconsistency, but we saw what we really needed out of Kyan. We need to get some scoring out of him. You can't have guys on the floor that can't put the ball in the basket. He ended with a career high. He had a career high 16. He had a career high the other night with 15 in the game against Radford. He topped that tonight with 16 and played an incredibly intelligent floor game and a great game defensively. Ended the game with 4 fouls, and I'm not sure he had more than 2, but boy, they were picking on CSU in terms of the fouling tonight. So all in all, great game by Kyan. At halftime, we were up by 3, but it looked like we really needed to get Rashawn going, Mbemba going. I don't think he scored in the first half. If he did, he had 2. We went to him early and we went to him often, and ended up with 10 points in the second half. And the other one I wanted to call out, Ethan Morton. Our bench did not do all that great today, but when the bench played well, Ethan was on the floor. We won the game by 3 points. Ethan was a plus 15 today. Clifford and Mbemba were plus 7s. I think Lake was a plus 2, and Kyan Evans was a 0 in terms of plus minus. Ethan was a plus 15. Unbelievably good defense. Nevada had a height advantage on us for sure. Unbelievable defense that Jalen Lake played on Kobe Sanders, the 6'9" point guard. He held Kobe Sanders, even though Sanders had 13 points. He did it with 13 shots. It was very ineffective. CSU did a great job on Nick Davidson on the inside. He ended up again with 13 points, but it took him 13 shots as well. And missed a bunch around the rim. Now, a lot of that was Mbemba. Ethan Morton was guarding a tall. He had the guard on Davidson some, and he had the guard on another 6'10" player a bunch, and they kept on throwing bigs at us. And lo and behold, we defended really, really well in the interior. We did a good job on Trey Coleman as well. Neek did a great job on Trey Coleman. Coleman ended up with 10, but a late 3 to make it look better. Kobe Sanders with a late 3 to make his score line look a lot better. We did the number on them. And if you saw me talk about the game, you saw me talk about the game on Thursday night. I talked not just about the height, but about the 3-point shooting of Nevada. They are a 40+% 3-point shooting team. CSU held them to it is 6 for 16. They only got 16 threes off. We defended the 3-point line really well, held them to 37%. And remember, they made their last 2. So they were 4 for 14 going into the last 30 seconds before Coleman made one with 24 seconds to go, and Sanders made one with a 1/10 of a second to go. No time on the clock, but the officials, of course, had to get involved at that point. Here we go. Jake wants to know what snacks we eating, boys. One of my regrets, I haven't set this up yet. I wanted to work with, and we'll still see if we can do this. Not tonight, but maybe down the road. I was going to bring in Kyan Evans as my go-to guy, and actually have him come in after road wins and do a little discussion and a snack critique. And we were going to do a snack of the night. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten around to doing that. I don't have Kyan set up, but I'll talk to him. In fact, I'll see if we can get him on as a guest sometime in the near future. We'll see if we can get him on for the Monday morning cup of coffee show. I'd like to have him there. I don't know. He should be able to get up on Monday mornings with no school. Some of these guys struggle to get up, but Kyan should be good. David Mayor Anderson. David, thanks for checking in. Norton can't shoot, but he makes great decisions on the floor. he makes a lot of great decisions on the floor. That is for sure. The offense, if you notice, the ball movement was pretty good today. It sticks sometimes, but it was pretty good today. The screen setting was really good today and really physical. Nevada's a good defensive team. That's a good basketball team, Nevada. Don't kid yourself. They beat VCU, who beat us. They beat Washington, who beat us. They lost to Washington State at home. But they have a bunch of good wins, and top 50 in Ken Palm, and I think they were about 55 to 60 in the net rankings. They're a bubble team right now. They were showing up in a lot of last four in, first four out kind of measurements. In terms of statistics, and so this will put the hurt on them, and this will give a big boost to CSU in terms of not just net, but in terms of Ken Palm as well. Here we go. I'd really like to see Williams play more. Lots of talent. He hit 2 big threes in the first half, and a little bit of a struggle defensively in the second half. And then he had that turnover where he ran before he caught the ball. Corey from Butler, Pennsylvania, one of the Butler boys. Let's see the plus minus. Corey, I put it up in the banner on the bottom. You can see it right there. I called it out right away. It's good to have you there. But I definitely called out Ethan's plus minus today of plus 15. Getting back to Keyshawn, he's getting better and better, and we'll see more of him. We didn't see much of Bowen Bourne today as well. I'm not sure if he's 100%. He took a little bit of a knock in the Radford game, and he looked a little bit off today. But we did appreciate the scrappiness from Bowen today. He did get a technical foul for going after the ball on the floor, and for some reason he was the one that won the ball, and they called a foul on him. And then Trey Coleman came over to 6'7" tough guy. Trey Coleman went after 5'11" Bowen Bourne. Tough guy. That's all I'm going to say about that. It was they deserve technicals probably in that case. There was a little bit of jawing. It was great to get the game under control. I'd love to see anybody's comments on the officiating. I was not real pleased with the officiating. The one that I think epitomized the quality was the spin move by Kobe Sanders into the lane where he tripped over his own feet, and they called a foul on Jalen Lake, and there was absolutely zero contact. I thought Kyan Evans got hit with a couple of touch fouls. I thought Rashawn Mbemba bodied up with people really, really well, and they kept on calling fouls on him as well. The other thing that was just shocking to me was I could not believe the number of 50-50 balls. I think every 50-50 call went to Nevada. And it was like, no doubt it was going to go to Nevada. And I'm sorry, not even one call. Corey with a good comment. Finally hit some shots out of the gate. Didn't take 6 minutes to make a shot. What was interesting was we went right to the basket, right out of the chute with the guys that have not been our scorers. 2 games ago, they against VCU, Corey, Ethan Morton and Kyan Evans had the goose eggs, and both Kyan and Ethan had and ones on the first possessions. I think that sent a message. We were going to be going to the basket. I should bring the box score up. Let me go out and bring the box score up, because there's some things in there I haven't even had a chance to take a look at. Points in the paint, I wanted to see. We outscored them in the paint, 32-30. Nevada is a very, very good team in terms of scoring in the paint. If they score in the paint, they make their threes. Oh, look who's checked in. There's my guy. I don't know, Pat. I assume you're still in the Netherlands. If you are, that's unbelievable. It's very late there. Maybe you're home for Christmas. I don't know if you get a Christmas break. Let me know where you're watching from, Pat. I'd love to see it. But the great Patrick Cartier, of course, the last time we played in Nevada was in the Mountain West Conference tournament. We walked away with about a 8 or 10 point win over them. But Pat, great to hear from you. Love it. Woo, we're on fire tonight. Tom should be in any minute. I hope he's not having trouble. Let me check and make sure he's not having trouble. He isn't. I haven't got a text from him. He should have a link to be able to come into the show. I'm going to get carried away and turn into the biggest homer. Before you know it, I'm going to start telling Steve Alford stories. You better watch out. Anyway, can't sleep. There we go. Can't sleep in the Netherlands. Too hype about snack time. There it is. What do we have for snacks? I know there's great chocolate over there. You must be nailing some chocolate. The other thing, though, I need to bring up with Pat. I had Pat on the show a few months ago. One of the really fun shows we've done where we did an interview with Pat, and of course we talked about the English Premier League. And Pat revealed he had become a fan of Manchester City, and of course I'm a fan of Manchester United. I don't know if anybody's noticed. I'm sure Pat has that. Manchester City has only won one of their last 12 games and have fallen to fifth place. They lost in the Manchester Derby to Manchester United last week. They are falling apart. So anyway, Tony's chocolate. Here we go. Tony's chocolate. Exactly. That sounds awfully good. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, Pat. And I hope you're doing well. It'd be nice to chat with you. Maybe we'll have you on sometime in the check in with you and you and Joe. I'd love to do that. So thanks for popping in. Getting back to the game, I was starting to whine about the officials. The good news is at least we got into the double bonus. I was waiting for us to be shooting lots of 1-and-1s, and we did a good job of making the 1-and-1s. Which was very, very important. Neek and Kyan both made their 1-and-1s. But you go to the last. Let me see if I can pull up the play-by-play. The last, it's gone. I'm going to have to. They only do the. Let's do period 2. Let me pull up the period 2 after CSU had fallen behind. The big play. So Kyan, we were down 55-52. Kyan made a pair of free throws. Kobe Sanders made a nice turnaround jumper in the paint. I think that was the one where he pushed over Ethan Morton. Neek made a couple of free throws. Rashawn, with 2 minutes to go in the game, steal by Kyan, pass, an assist by Morton. That was probably the play of the game to give us the lead. And then right after that, after a 3-point miss, Kyan Evans came down and buried a 3 from well behind the 3-point line, probably 4 feet behind the 3-point line, definitely NBA range. That was the play that gave us the 2-score lead. And that's what you really want when it happens. Anyway, here it is. That's the kind of the final run in. We got to a 6-point lead. Coleman hit that crazy 3, of course, and then Mbemba with a free throw. Sanders only making 1 free throw. Clifford making both free throws to basically put the game away. And the 3 at the end was meaningless. The final score at the end flattered Nevada. CSU played really well. It's been a long time since we've seen the zone work. CSU went into that zone with about, I think it was about 8 minutes to go, and it was an absolute necessity. I had sent a note when Rashawn Mbemba went to the bench with his 4th foul. That's when CSU struggled. To be honest, Jalen Crocker-Johnson struggled. He played a little bit of the 5 and did not play his best game. Wasn't bad, contributed, but and Kyle Jorgensen was off just a little bit. Typical freshman. Great first game for a freshman on the road against a top 50 team. I'm not being critical of those guys, but Rashawn was the key. And when he went to the bench with 4 fouls, we really, really struggled. And they put him back in, but that's where we went zone. I think they wanted to protect Rashawn, and that zone really, really worked. It fueled the comeback. It really slowed down Nevada, they struggled to get anything. If you heard the announcers, they kept on talking, we need to get paint touches, paint touches. Their whole offense is really, it's not so much paint touches as much as post feeds. Their offense really runs well out of post feeds to people like Davidson, and then the other 6'10" kid who didn't play many minutes. He was struggling. But they get the ball in the post, and if they don't score, they kick the ball out for threes, and that's why they make so many threes and shoot such a high percentage. But two of the starters, let me pull up the box score. Let me see if I can get up here. The split box. Two of the starters, Love, 13 minutes. Ducell, 13 minutes. They got sent to the bench. In the immortal words of San Fran Ram 20 years ago on Ram Nation, got on him for it. Say hello to the bench. They did. They were the useless guys for Nevada today. Love with 2 points, Ducell with 0. Those are the starters. The bench, to their credit, came in and did some decent things. Some of those guys made shots that I don't think they're normally going to make, but that's what kept Nevada in the game. 20 minutes out of Daniel Foster, 20 minutes out of Tyler Rollison, 18 out of McBride. That's a lot of minutes for those guys, and they all shot really, really well. They shot 7 for 12, 2 of 3 on their threes, and they rebounded well too. 16 rebounds between the three of them. But we sent those guys to the bench. Here we go, Corey. We talked about this early. The call on Lake was criminal. He didn't touch him. There were a few other calls, Corey, where you could see the replay where, and Crocker Johnson had one and Mbemba had a couple, where you're taught to wall up with your arms straight up and to jump straight up, and they jump straight up and they call fouls. They do not allow people to wall up anymore. And you get into these whistles that start flying around, and they start trying to please the coaches. I got a note to my friend, from my friend Luke Kingsley, that says the last 10 minutes of games of college basketball games this year are nothing but touch fouls. And they just blow whistles the last 10 minutes of the game. It takes away the flow. It takes away the excitement. So anyway, that was that. But I was not real happy with that call, Corey. That was brutal. I wanted to call out a couple of other things. We already talked about Keyshawn, 2 for 3, 2 for 2 on his threes. We shot 6 for 20. Neek struggled. Jalen Lake struggled. 1 for 7 between the two of them. Ethan Morton attempted to. We don't expect him to make them, but I'm glad he shot them. I was not yelling or upset. He's got to take open threes. There was one point in the first half where it was the last play of the first half where he run a wonderful play, and Nevada sags off to the lane, and Ethan's wide open for a 3-pointer, and he missed it. And that's okay. He missed it. He's where he's supposed to be. I'd love to see him take that shot 1,000 times a day and be ready to make that shot, because we might need that. We didn't need it tonight, but the other, I did want to talk a lot more about Kyan Evans. His floor game was exquisite today. 5 for 8. 3 for 5 on his threes, 3 for 3 from his free throws. You will always hear me say the most important thing a point guard can do is make his free throws, because they're going to be in at the end of the game, and they're probably going to have the ball, and they're probably going to get fouled. And he did. 4 rebounds. I remember a very good him getting back. There was one where there was a kind of a 50-50 rebound, and all of a sudden you saw Kyan flying back in from the free throw line to come back and get a rebound. That's what's important. We did get out rebounded today, but some of that was at the very end, and it wasn't. And some of that was them getting rebounds. They got 3 rebounds on free throws at the end of the game. That were free rebounds. So don't be misled by some of those. They were free rebounds at the end. But the other thing was, so 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers. If In the first half, CSU turned the ball over maybe a little too much for my taste. We had 7 turnovers in the first half against only 5 assists. Let me pull up the first half box, and here you go. 5 assists, 7 turnovers. Neek had 3 of them, one by Crocker Johnson and one by Bowen Bourne. But the second half, that means what? We ended up with, I believe, 12 assists and 10 turnovers. So, or excuse me, 14 assists and 10 turnovers. So look at this. This is more of a Rams second half. 9 assists, and you can see who had them in a second. I'm going to talk about that. But 9 assists against only 3 turnovers. That one of them was Keyshawn's looking to take somebody on before he caught the ball. One was Jorgensen reading Bourne the wrong way, and I think that might have been more on Bowen than it was on Kyle. And then Rashawn had one. But if you look at the assists and who had the assist, Morton was a lot of times the one feeding. He was the one feeding Mbemba a lot, and I think he was the one he might have fed. He might have fed Kyan on his big 3 at the end. So you're looking at. But I wanted to highlight Kyan's game. This is the ultimate for a point guard. 10 points in the second half, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, 1 steal. We'll take that all day long from him in conference play. We saw Kyan Evans grow up since the VCU game, and that is critical to the performance of this team. Here we go. Lee, huge win for this team. Evans really big. There is no doubt it was not just the best game, but I think it's safe to say Kyan Evans was the player of the game today. We do not win that game without Kyan. I'd love to see who your unsung hero might be. I have an idea on that. I am automatically naming Kyan Evans my player of the game, but let me know who you think your unsung hero was. I've got an idea. It was a great team effort. Don't get me wrong. This was a fantastic effort by the team. And that's the way, like I said, this team is supposed to operate. But I'm trying to check to see if my friend Tom is going to come in. I haven't seen him. So anyway, here we go. Anthony Barse, Outlaws are in the house. There we go. Ladies love Outlaws. Ladies, let me know if you're out there too, because ladies know I love Outlaws. Anyway, Kyan was fantastic and definitely player of the game today. We are going to get better and better if we keep seeing him make progress. Remember, this is a kid that was Missouri Player of the Year on a state championship team. And they had 2 other Division I players on that team, one who played at Wyoming last year, Cam Manyow, who transferred to Drake, another player who transferred or who went to Iowa State, who's on the Iowa State team, who's a really, really good player, doesn't get a lot of time for Iowa State, but really good, really, really good player. Kyan was the player of the year in Missouri. He also played on a top AAU team that won the biggest AAU tournament, the Peach Jam Classic down in Atlanta. That is the biggest summer tournament, and he was on the winning team. Corey, this is a great point. Nice to see a win without depending on Clifford for every basket. This was a team effort. This is the way this team is supposed to run. We would have run away with it if Neek was a little hotter. But I want games like that where things don't go perfectly for your best player and the other guys figure out a way to collectively work together, move the ball. And like I said, that second half was a thing of beauty. 9 assists against only 3 turnovers. The shooting was good. The passing was good. And the defense was very, very good. I haven't had a chance to check the final points per possession. And again, it's misleading. 1.04 for Nevada. Take away that last 3, they're basically at 1 point per possession, and that's a great offensive team. I want to see if the Ken Palm numbers are up yet. They are. Let me pull this thing up. Yeah, Kyan, let's share this tab. You can see Ken Palm has named Kyan Evans as the player of the game. I think that's pretty good, huh? We all got that one right. No brainer. Look at the offensive rating on KenPom, 161. That is an extraordinary game by a sophomore who's really starting to find his feet. So that is a wonderful. Neat Clifford with an O rating of 90. Again, a lot of that is driven by his shooting percentage and 3 assists and 3 turnovers. The other guys that played well, Ethan Morton, 2 for 2 on his twos, 0 for 2 on his threes. But you look at the assists, you look at the 0 turnovers. Again, 5 assists against 0 turnovers. We love that. That's Ram basketball. 145 offensive rating for a guy who is who's basically unguarded, but 2 for 2, made his layups, made a free throw. That's all that matters. Had 2 steals as well. So just an unbelievable floor game. And like I said, a plus 15. Look at the job we did on the starters for Nevada. We absolutely shut down their starters. They would have been completely dead without a great bench performance. Their top performance was Trey Coleman, who was very limited in terms of he had they listed with 12 points, 29. I mean the high possession guys basically were 1 point per possession. Nevada, if I go to their let me go back to their overall offensive rating. This is an offensive machine, this team. 115.9, 42nd best offense in the nation. CSU held them to 1 point per possession. On the road, I will say, they get traditionally a lot of calls at home. And they did get a lot of calls, and they went to the free throw line. That really upped their points per possession. I want to look at, let me see if I can pull something else up. This is kind of a fun thing that KenPom does in terms of game plan. The only other game where they did worse against Washington at home, efficiency of 96, and they did really poorly against Washington State, where they sleptwalked the whole game. But all in all, they're a good defensive team at home too, and we did a really, really good job offensively against them. Most of the time, they're allowing 0.9 points per possession at home. We went 1.03 against them. So a team that's been struggling to score. The offense, to be honest with you, started showing signs of life today, and I'm really high. Mbemba as the unsung hero, and we got Anthony agreeing with that. Croc has taken a good step forward on defense today. He struggled a little bit today, but he's learning. You know, this is something I talked about this on Thursday night, and if you talk to the coaches, Croc is learning how to play the 4 now. He learned the 5 throughout the summer, and now we have Mbemba back, and we have Jorgensen as the backup, and we need him at the 4. Not just at the 5, but we need him at the 4 along with Morton to play that position. And he's learning it, and he's improving. He has struggled in the past a little bit with his perimeter defense. Much better today. The perimeter defense was pretty much very good today. Like I said, they shot 6 for 16. They only got 16 threes off. This is a team that normally would shoot about 25 of them and make about 10 of them. And if you saw my preview on Thursday, I said it would be the 3-point line, and the fact that we basically stymied them at the 3-point line and did well ourselves. We didn't shoot a great percentage, 6 for 20. They shot 6 for 16. We made the same number of threes. That was critical, just to equal them in terms of the number of threes. If you want to say Rashawn as the unsung hero, I think it was Ethan Morton, to be honest with you, but at a plus 15 with 5 assists against 0 turnovers, 26 minutes. He was the glue today that held this team together, and he was the glue especially when Nevada made their run to get us back into the game. But I am not arguing against Rashawn. I will tell you right now, you have heard me talk up Rashawn, and I've talked about the importance of Rashawn playing more than 15 minutes on this team. And Rashawn played, I believe, 20, what did he play tonight? 24, 26 minutes. Let me check that. Rashawn played 24 minutes. We don't lose when Rashawn plays more than 15 minutes. In fact, we've only had one loss. He played more than 15 against VCU. That's the only game we've lost in Rashawn's career. I think he's 10-1 or 11-1 now, where Rashawn's played more than 15 minutes. So I think of him as more of an unsung hero. I think of him as kind of the critical third piece on top of Lake and Clifford, who didn't have great games today. We needed Rashawn scoring and his play and his physical play. I don't know how close you guys watched it. He was setting very big screens today. He was bouncing Nevada guys around, and that was part of. I think of that as the running game. CSU's offense when it's humming, the ball is moving, but there's a lot of hard screens being set. And it's not just Rashawn; it's Crocker Johnson, it's Jorgensen, and it's Morton. Morton came and played a little bit of that position as well, setting a lot of the perimeter screens. And when they're setting big screens, this is like an old Nebraska team that blocks and runs the ball. We score at the hoop, and for us to outscore, like I said, for us to outscore Nevada in the paint was extraordinary. That's a big game. I guarantee a point of emphasis was defend the 3-point line, outscore them in the paint, and rebound. I can guarantee you that was the three things that they talked about. We got out rebounded a little bit, but like I said, the margin wasn't that bad. We had a stalemate in terms of 3-point shooting, and we outscored them in the paint. And that difference in the paint of 2 points was the final margin. So all in all, unbelievable game. I'm going to wrap it up now. Thanks a lot. We have 152 people watching. Here we go. Corey saying, surviving that extended scoring drought in the second half was the ball game. You know, the one thing we did pretty well, it was a scoring drought, but we kept defending hard. They made a lot of tough shots. That Chuck, whatever his name was, he hit a fall away jump shot. And I guarantee if I gave him that shot wide open in practice 10 times, he wouldn't make it 3. And then he hit a pull-up jumper that was really, really well defended from about 17 feet. And this was a guy who was a 50% free throw shooter. He went to the free throw line 4 times. No, he made 1 out of 4 free throws today, I think. But he made a pull-up jumper from 17 feet, and I don't think he makes that shot more than 2 out of 10 either. They made some tough shots in that run. We defended really, really well. They never. You know, that's a team that can nail you for 2 or 3 threes in a row. They never had any momentum shooting threes. Yeah, the fadeaway was ridiculous. I thought the pull-up was even more ridiculous. I don't think that guy has range outside of 6 feet, and he made a 17-footer. And I think it was Lake who was defending him that did an unbelievably good job to force him into an awkward shot. And I'm pretty sure the guy was laughing after he made the shot. Because I don't think he expected to make it either. But I think that's a good point about the surviving the run. We have struggled to close games the first 10 games of the year. I brought that up last Monday with Nico, and he just basically said it's the details. It's the little details that you have to do really, really well if you want to close out games. You got to defend. You got to rebound. You got to make your free throws. You got to not turn the ball over. If you noticed, we weren't turning the ball over. We rebounded. Nick got a great rebound on a missed free throw that was critical. No turnovers. Made the free throws when they mattered to extend the lead. Here's a comment from Monty. Hi. Defense won the game. There's no doubt defense won the game. That's a very, very good offense from Nevada. Like I said, they operate. It's a top 50 offense. We made them look pedestrian. If you were watching and listening to the TV broadcast, and if you heard the interview with Craig Neal at halftime, he talked about they were sluggish. The ball wasn't moving. That was our defense that was doing that. It wasn't just them. It was our defense that was doing that. We scouted them. Whoever did the scout, I should find out from Nico. We should give them a big hug at the next game, which of course is New Mexico. We opened with two really, really good teams, but whoever did the scout, the defensive scout was good. The other thing was, and I will tell you, this team, if you ever get a chance, you hear me rant and rave about the quality of the level of detail of what this coaching staff does. If you ever watch them prepare for an opponent, and you watch how they prepare to defend baseline out of bounds plays and run baseline out of bounds plays. And if you notice, they didn't do anything really much on their baseline out of bounds plays. We created a couple layups on ours. I think Mbemba had at least one, and I can't remember who got the other one. It might have been, was it Kyan? I can't remember. Might have been Neek. But we got layups. We got layups on a couple of baseline out of bounds plays. They work those. You'll see them work in for about 15 minutes. Oh, look who's here! We're gonna stay on. Tom, how are you?
Oh man, listen, I was ready to. I had the link open. I was ready to click in like 3 times, and then it's like a comedy of errors here. And I just. I was trying not to start World War III here, so I just got frustrated as we're trying to, wrap things up for tonight, and I just whatever. All right, so
let's stick around. Yeah, I've already given my Homer point of view. I want the neutral coach's eyes. What did you think?
Well, first, so I have no idea what you have said about anything. So I this may be a repeat for those that are in here, but look, I tweeted this out. Like Medved with a brilliant coaching move, switching to a zone in the back half of the last 2 segments or 2 TV timeouts or however long it was, 5-6 minutes. He did it in the first half. He sprinkled in a set or 2 of it, and I think Nevada scored. And I was like, all right, well, he's not going to go back to it. But then, I don't know why. Alford put it this way. We know, and I know most of your viewers in here right now are CSU fans. You all know that CSU is not as good as they were last year. Now it's become painfully obvious to everybody else around the country and Mountain West fans that Nevada is nowhere close to what they were last year. They have a void in leadership. They missed Jared Lucas's leadership 110%. Okay. Blackshear was kind of a take it or leave it leader, but you thought and hoped if you were a Pac fan that Trey Coleman and some of the other veteran guys would do that, and they're not. You and I have discussed already the fact that guys like Ducell and Sanders came from non-winning programs, and you don't know what you're going to get when the going gets tough with those guys. Ducell bagged tonight. He played like 10 minutes, and you know how bad it is when the other team goes zone and he's a shooter and he doesn't even put him back in the game. So, Alford, we heard a lot in the preseason and leading up to the season how deep Nevada was. And he does have a lot of guys that can play, but that's also seeming to become a problem here for him because he doesn't know who to go to. He doesn't play Brandon Love for stretches, and he's their best guy inside. So McBride comes off the bench, and his next assist will be his first assist. He can't wait to get a shot up the minute he touches it. So they have a real identity crisis right now. But look, enough of Nevada. Really impressive for Colorado State because the momentum there towards the middle of the second half was all on Nevada's side. A couple of the whistles went Nevada's way. You could tell Nico was not happy about that. Nevada was getting to the line. They got the lead back, but credit to the Rams. They played great defense the last 5 minutes. They grabbed enough rebounds. I didn't look at the stats, but I'm assuming they took care of the ball. I don't remember, Clifford was a little sloppy late in the first half, but I don't remember a ton in the second half. I should have, for Ram fans' perspective, I should have not watched the second half. I left to go get something at halftime, and I came back 3 minutes into the half, and they went on like a 9-2 run and Alford called timeout. So I didn't even know what happened there. But real good win for them. I mean, we know that winning on the road in this conference is tough, and credit to Nico and his staff because they earned this one.
Yeah, you talked about the turnover thing. CSU was a little loose with the ball in the first half. They had 5 assists and 7 turnovers. We looked at this on the box score. Second half, 9 assists, 3 turnovers. That's CSU basketball. And I had Kyan Evans as the player of the game. Kyan had not a lot of assists. He had 2 assists, but 0 turnovers and career high 16 points. Ethan Morton was he did his Ethan Morton thing, but Tommy ended up with 5 assists and no turnovers.
Yeah, I thought he played a good floor game.
Yep.
This didn't even matter, but like I thought about this and I wanted to mention it. Like in the analytical world that we live in, every single thing that you do basically on the floor is charted somewhere, right? Like every single thing that you do. I think the only thing ever anywhere that is not like analytically factored in is this, and it happened at the end of the first half. It's such an oddity, but when a basket goes in the first half, the clock runs. Okay, they don't start the shot clock, right?
Yep.
And so if a shot goes in with like 35 seconds left, and a team gets it out and goes real quick, there's a 5-second difference. They're going to have to shoot the ball with 8 seconds left, and the other team's going to get a possession, right? Well, right. Morton, since he's played for like 9 years, he's so smart that he realizes that if you don't inbound it, the shot clock doesn't start. And the exact scenario happened, and he inbounded it. He looked at the ref. He was making sure he wasn't getting a 5-second call, and then he inbounds with like 31 seconds left. So It got CSU the last possession, right? And that's something that nobody pays attention to. I do as a coach because that's how I would think in my mind. But those are the winning type of plays that you need for Morton, since obviously he's not a major scorer out there, but he gives you the intangible stuff. Yeah.
I noticed the same thing, and I actually sent a text to friends of mine that said the exact same. Morton did something smart. Nevada scored with 38 seconds left. Yeah. Morton waited 5 or so seconds before inbounding the ball.
Yep, there you go.
I noticed it too, and I've always wondered why more teams don't do that.
Yeah, well, don't worry. In another year or two, they'll figure it out. But it's just because it doesn't happen in the second half because the clock stops on a make. And then any other point, it doesn't really matter. That's the only time it would matter. And it drives me nuts, when the team I'm rooting for, doesn't take advantage of that. So it's kind of cool to see somebody do it properly. Yeah.
I have a question from my friend Anthony. Do you think it's a 2-bid league at this point now, Coach?
Well, it's probably 2.5, Anthony. I think you'll get a big answer to that tomorrow night with Utah State. If they can beat St. Mary's, they're going to put themselves back in a pretty good position. New Mexico's on about their last legs, as I know they beat VCU, but they're going to struggle to get an at-large. So I think, if I had to bet right now, I would still say 3 because Boise, I don't know. I think we can get Boise, Utah State, and San Diego State. Unless somebody gets wild in the conference tournament, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's probably 50, 40, 10, 50 3 bids, 40% 2 bids, and 10% something crazy. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think we're going to struggle to see more than 3. And I think if somebody wins the tournament who's not in those top 3, that third team will get pushed out. That's just the way these things work. I'm sorry. It just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that feel that's going to be any more than 3.
To be honest, Steve, we don't deserve it at this point. You and I have talked about this. We just haven't finished the deal enough, and that applies to CSU too. Had CSU finished that Riverside game and give them the Riverside game and give them either Washington or VCU. You give them 2 of those 3 and they're right back where Nevada was prior to today. But you can't do all those what ifs. UNLV's lost. You 1 possession games to Memphis and Dayton, which would be quad 1 games. So you can't squander those and be what you were last year. So it's okay. Look, we're still going to enjoy a great regular season.
Absolutely.
Games that we saw today, for the next 2.5 months. So
absolutely. And the conference games, did you watch any of the Air Force game earlier?
I did not.
They were ahead. They went, Boise scored at the buzzer to take a 1-point lead at the half. So Air Force hung in there and then Boise put them away. And it was kind of a shock that Boise let them hang around, but you saw you could see some flaws in Boise as they were playing Air Force. Mm-hmm. You pointed out the flaws in Nevada. I think obviously the loss of Lucas is huge to have that lethal scoring threat running off of screens for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But the other thing I think they miss is, Blackshear's physicality at the point. I don't think Kobe Sanders is physical, and I think they miss that. They bring in Rollison. He's not big enough to be. He's a good player, but he's not big enough to be physical. And I think that's what they're not as physical as they were last year. And guys like Davidson doesn't get as much cover as he got last year. He has to really work hard to score inside. So anyway, any other final thoughts before we go? I want to thank you for coming on.
Yeah, sorry it took so long. It's funny. I actually was the payback from last year. We all remember that one. Yeah, Lee. I actually was I had given up of coming in, and then I actually went on Twitter and I saw that you were still live, so I quick beelined it in here. Just I knew it would only be 5 minutes, but I wanted to get in here. So, no, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. That one tomorrow, 8 o'clock for me, 6 o'clock for you out there in Fort Collins, and 5 o'clock local in Moraga. So that'll be a very good game. Should be competitive. I think you'll see a good Utah State effort. Now Drake Allen is out, so they're down a point guard. Fortunately for Calhoun, he had 3. Alberry, I wasn't very high on. He played a good first half the other night, but he kind of tapered off in the second half, which is what I kind of think he is. So we'll see how much that impacts them if he can use Barnes, the former walk-on, for a lot of minutes, or if he tries to go with Martinez or Falslev in a combination of just big guards handling the ball. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and it'll be rough and physical too. We know how St. Mary's plays, especially Moraga. So everybody, join us tomorrow night. Like Tom said, we'll come on at 6:15 post game, 6:15 Mountain Time. Join us for the top of the Tonight in the Mountain West. Tom and I had a lot of fun doing New Mexico on what was it, Wednesday night?
I think it'll be.
It's been a blur.
It'll be 8:15 tomorrow for you, Steve. It's a.
That's right. I'm sorry. 8:15 me, 10:15. You're right. The game starts at 6. Yeah. My bad. I have we have a thing we're going to it from 6:30 to 7. I'll be back about 7:30, and we'll get it launched. But 8:15 Mountain Time tomorrow night. Join us, and then we'll have some fun. Hopefully, a large crowd. Hopefully, we'll approach what we had for New Mexico. We had over 500 people live from New Mexico. I got 165. This is the most I've had for a CSU post game. So we're starting to build this thing. We're having a lot of fun doing this. Yep. Thanks everybody for participating. Tom, thanks for popping in. Have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow night, 8:15 Mountain Time, 10:15 Delaware time.
All right,
thanks
buddy.
Everybody.
See ya.
Good night. Go Rams.